It's not about the commercials, it's about the double standards. I really thought I made this point clear, but I still get the code blue shaming tactic. Chill out, dude. It's just a commercial. Lighten up. As if I'm the one who's making such a big deal out of the advertisements, and I'm the one who can't take a joke. These comments are so misdirected. It's the feminist and women's groups who need to lighten up. They are the ones who find something to complain about and read way too much into these things. They talk about how this commercial objectifies women and that commercial should be banned because of this, that, and the other thing. It's because of them that I started my Misandry in the Media series. This series is a reaction to the feminist complaints. All I do is talk about the things that feminist and women's groups conveniently ignore. If they're going to bitch about sexism in the media, then they should at least be consistent with it and address it when it happens to men too. So all I'm doing is addressing the double standards and feminist hypocrisy, and I'm providing examples. That's all I'm really getting at here, folks. Apparently the Super Bowl was last week. I'm not into sports, so I didn't watch it myself, but I have received a few messages and comments about some of the commercials they had. I'll be talking about these commercials in this installment of Misandry in the Media, but first let me show you a clip from Good Morning America, where they react to one of these commercials. Maybe this will give some of you a good idea as to why I started my series. Take a look.
And the ads are already heating up, you guys, for the Super Bowl, no pun intended in this case. Mercedes-Benz has hired model Kate Upton to represent them, but is it too sexy, the ad for America's biggest game? ABC's Lindsay Davis is here now with the story. Lindsay.
Good morning, Lara. Mercedes says something powerful is coming this Super Bowl, and they've released a preview of an upcoming ad that, as far as we can tell so far, is a slow-motion car wash of sorts. It seems to focus more on model Kate Upton's Daisy Dukes and tank top than anything else.
The sleek lines and sexy curves featured in this new commercial are certain to make hearts race. What's it an ad for, you ask? Well, the new Mercedes CLA, obviously. At least, that's what the German automaker claims. Mercedes is advertising this 90-second tease as a taste of what's to come during the Super Bowl next month. And it says it's intended to target someone in the market for a new car.
You missed the spot.
Model Kate Upton, who many might argue is the real star of the ad, has famously taken a back seat to promote a product before, as evidenced by this Carl's Jr. commercial.
The classic just got a whole lot hotter.
But this morning, some are now asking if the notion that sex sells is being taken a bit too far.
Okay, so they're taking issue with this Super Bowl commercial. Oh my god, is it too sexy to be on TV? Is sex appeal going too far? They actually have an entire segment devoted to this. Why was this even newsworthy? Because some people out there think it somehow puts women down or degrades them in some way? But you can also look at this commercial and notice that it's all the men who are working, and she's just walking around and telling this guy,
You missed the spot.
You could say that this commercial is suggesting that women are superior and are too good for this lowly work, whereas the men are inferior and have to do all the work.
People will always try to push the envelope, but at the end of the day, they're going to want to make this sexually suggestive, but also family friendly. And there's a real balance there.
Of course, the Super Bowl, with its 100 million viewers, most of them men, is known for advertisers who push the envelope.
Now, I too don't care for these commercials. But not because I feel they objectify women or any of that crap, but because I find them to be really annoying. I'm insulted that advertisers think that a commercial like this would be something that I, as a man, would love to see. The woman who's supposed to be sexy looks as though she has a conceited and narcissistic personality. I don't find that attractive at all. Commercials like these also portray men like mindless zombies that only think about sex. They just can't keep their eyes off of her, those pervs. People focus so much on this so-called objectification of women that they don't even notice the fact that these commercials perpetuate a negative male stereotype. As soon as they see her, they're like, duh, yeah, I guess I did miss a spot. If anything, this commercial is more insulting to men, yet they only focus on how it treats her like a sex object, even though all that really happens is that the men look at her because they think she's attractive. How horrible!
With ads like this one for GoDaddy.
Who won't notice a hot model in body paint?
Or this ad for Fiat.
Mi stai spogliando con gli occhi.
Wait a minute. Did you just see that? Let's replay that.
Or this ad for Fiat.
She slaps the man. Do they talk about that? Nope, not a peep about it. So a woman walking around with some men looking at her is newsworthy. That's what they call pushing the envelope. But not a man getting slapped. Do you think that if that had been a woman getting slapped, they would just ignore that? Certainly not. A commercial like that would be banned, and we'd still hear about it as the main topic on the news. Yet when it happens to a man, it's just business as usual, not even worth mentioning. Well, if they won't talk about it, then I will. That's one reason why I created the Misandry in the Media series. I never thought about gender at all when I used to watch TV. I can take a joke, and I know it's just a commercial, but after hearing feminist complaints left and right about women this and women that, it's only natural that when I see worse things happening to men in these commercials, it's all the more frustrating when nobody else talks about it. That's where I come in. Here's a commercial for Audi.
Look at you, so dashing. Come on. Nowadays, lots of people go by themselves.
No, they don't.
Hey, son. Have fun tonight.
I can't believe that just happened! It's so cool!
Now get a load of this reaction to this commercial. There's an article called Audi Super Bowl Commercial Fail. Sexual Assault is Good. You can read it for yourself, I put a link in the video description. But to sum it up, she takes issue with this commercial because of the fact that this boy had the nerve to walk up to this girl and kiss her without her permission. Yeah, never mind when a woman walks up to a man and kisses him without his permission. In that case, he's just considered a lucky guy, right? Anyway, she goes on to say that commercials like these promote a rape culture because it sends a message to young men that they can walk up to any girl they want, kiss them, and she'll like it. As if men are that dumb and would do something like that just because they saw a car commercial. And people tell me that I overreact? You honestly think this commercial is promoting a rape culture? Does that look like somebody who has just been raped to you? No, this girl got a kiss, a sign of affection, and liked it. It's not rape if you like it. If anything, this commercial is promoting affection for women. Now this boy got a black eye because of it. I couldn't imagine a commercial where a woman gets a black eye for forcing herself onto a man, and even if there was such a commercial, I'm sure the author of this article would say that that was uncalled for, and then complain about the violence against women. You don't focus on the black eye so much because the man has it. If that was a woman, she'd be talking about that nonstop. I could say that this commercial is promoting violence against men. Now she does mention his black eye in the article, but it isn't really talked about as being a serious issue. She doesn't say anything like, yeah, not only does this commercial promote a rape culture, but it uses violence against men as a form of comedy, which is also terrible. No, rather than focusing on the violence against a boy, she focuses on the affection that this boy gave to her, and makes it sound like it's such a negative thing. Rather than looking at this boy as a victim of violence, she sees him as a perpetrator of sexual assault and rape. She says this commercial and the message it sends deserves a facepalm. Well, I say her and her overreaction deserve a facepalm. Make that a quadruple. And speaking of violence against men, here are some other commercials from the Super Bowl that I've heard no complaints about. Like this one for Kia. Doesn't she remind you of R. Dorothy Wainwright? Where is the feminist outrage here? I don't see Good Morning America talking about this one. I don't see any feminist articles talking about this one either. But I'm sure if it was a woman getting kicked in the shin, getting an atomic wedgie, getting beat up and flung across the room, then that would be serious business. It would be headline news. The commercial would be banned, and we still wouldn't stop hearing about how sexist it is. But since it's happening to a man, it's just a joke. And should you complain about a commercial like this, then the common response is, lighten up, you butthurt, thin-skinned crybaby. Here's one for Oreos.
I've always preferred the cream part of an Oreo. That's crazy. The cookie's the best part. Cream. Cookie. Cream. Cookie. Cream.
So the woman hits the man with the chair.
Cookie. Cream. Cookie.
But when something is about to be thrown at a woman, she's able to dodge it. How convenient. Yeah, showing women getting hit would be terrible, but no problem showing men get hit.
Cream. Cookie. I'm calling the cops. You guys have to stop fighting. We're the cops.
Choose your side on Instagram at Oreo.
This commercial is fucking stupid. Let's move on to the next one.
Hey Brent, what beer are you drinking?
The man got hit and fell down. That's funny. I don't understand why this is supposed to be funny. Who watches this commercial and actually laughs at that? You know how sometimes parents make little babies laugh by pretending to be hurt? They fall over and the baby gets a kick out of it? Yeah, well that's funny when you're like 2 or 3 years old. Before too long you grow out of it. If this is what passes for funny these days, this really says a lot about the average American's intelligence. Moving on. These next 3 are for Doritos. I thought I was done with them back in part 12, but they're back for more. Get a load of this one.
28, 29, 30. I'm getting there, honey. 31, 32, 30.
Of course the man tries to do something underhanded, while the woman is the one who tries to do the right thing.
3, 34, 35. Is that the right amount, dear?
Hey feminists, feel free to get outraged over these ads too, you know. We've seen all these commercials where men are getting hurt, yet you've been very quiet about them. So we're to believe that the goat is going to hurt him. It goes into the room in an intimidating manner, closes the door behind him, and then the man gets scared. I'm glad we can laugh at something like that. If a woman was getting scared that someone or something may hurt her, then that would be no laughing matter.
Daddy, can you play Princess Fast and Souls with me?
Sweetheart, I'd love to, but the guys, they're outside waiting for me.
We got Doritos.
Steve, what is the holdup?
So the man has to throw away his dignity for Doritos. Would we see a woman doing something embarrassing for Doritos? Of course not. Women have dignity and class, unlike men who would stop at nothing to eat some junk food. So his buddies join in, and guess what happens? Seriously, take a guess. If you have watched all my misandry in the media videos so far, think about what's happened in a lot of the commercials I talked about.
Go Neil! Go Neil!
That's right. The woman catches them in the act, and they're looking like fools, while she is the mature adult who would never stoop to their level.
Is that my wedding dress?
It could be.
Yeah, and this guy with Dorito crumbs in his beard and talking with his mouth full. That's just great. You know, it's mind-boggling that shit like this actually entertains some people. The top comments on videos like these are, "This is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life." Ugh, kill me. We've seen commercials before where men are put in awkward situations, like that McDonald's commercial I talked about in part 5.
Miniature pony, rubber bands, an elephant has 4 knees. I think you're pretty.
Here are 2 more commercials where men are put in awkward situations, making them look foolish.
I've been waiting for the dryer for like forever. That's it. I'm just gonna unload their clothes. I don't care if they get wrinkled.
What are you doing?
And now I look like a huge perv.
I was just gonna fold your clothes for you so they wouldn't get wrinkled.
That's so sweet of you.
I'd fold your panties any day.
What?
What?
So what are you doing tonight?
Nothing.
Do you want to go to a party with me?
Yeah.
We could just go to my place before and hang out.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Hold on.
Oh, I thought you were talking.
You can't always be smooth, but your beer should be, even when you're not.
I'm really sorry about what just happened.
Oh, that's cool. I feel embarrassed.
Just a second.
Oh, man.
You'd think she'd be more understanding that he'd make such a mistake. Anyway. I also noticed that whenever there's an ad that has a competition between men and women, the women will always win. I remember there was a McDonald's commercial where the women dominated the men at billiards. But not only do they win, they crush the men. The showgirls win the Coke race, of course. Then we have this one where the women are playing the men at paper football, and they win. No surprise there.
Actions make milestones for freedom, pure freedom. These are the moments that are measured for glory. Stars fade away, but legends, well, legends live forever.
Women are always shown to be the winners, the mature ones, the responsible ones, the smart ones, the sensible ones, and the all-around superior sex. Men, on the other hand, are shown to be the losers. They are clumsy, lazy, immature, irresponsible, inferior, and disposable. And when men get hurt, it's not a cause for concern.
Is there a Century 21 agent in the house?
I'm a Century 21 agent.
I don't think my fiancé is looking forward to moving in with my mother. Can you help us find a nice starter home?
Absolutely.
Is there a Century 21 agent in the house?
I'm a Century 21 agent.
We need your help. We can finally afford a nicer home.
Here's an article from Forbes.com called Super Bowl Ad Serves Up Sexism. You're going to love this one. Again, I'll leave a link in the video description. What kind of sexism could they be talking about? Sexism against men? No, that would be absurd. It's not possible to be sexist against men. Let's read this, shall we? It comes as no news to many that these high-budget ads also have a high level of misogyny. Oh, brother. It seems that without fail, the brains that pour obscene dollars in ad strategy into some of the priciest spots repeatedly decide that trashing women, femininity, and gender roles is a surefire way to lock in more sales. Last night was no exception. Perhaps these ad men would do well to realize that women typically make up close to half of the viewers at game time, a percentage that's been growing in recent years. Women also control a huge amount of consumer spending, with estimates ranging from 65% to 85%. Yet most of the ads are not only targeted squarely at men, they come at the expense of women. Okay, so when you have commercials that target women at the expense of men, it's okay. But we can't have ads targeting men, now can we? Us women make up the majority of consumer spending, so commercials should be all about women and only about women, no matter what the ad is for or who the target audience is. I wonder if she would be okay with these commercials if men made up the majority of consumer spending. The first commercial on her list is that Audi commercial. And again, just like the author of the previous article, she takes offense at the girl enjoying getting kissed. What misogyny! Moving on to the next one, which is the commercial for GoDaddy. GoDaddy is now infamous for incredibly sexist Super Bowl ads, and it delivered this year. Although after that Audi commercial, this one seemed more harmless. After all, the model and the nerd have a consensual on-screen makeout. But it wouldn't be a GoDaddy ad without at least some misogyny. More like it wouldn't be a feminist article without somebody trying to find misogyny everywhere they fucking turn. The message of the commercial? Women are sexy, boys are smart, the two shall never mix. When did being sexy become a negative thing? Sexy is misogynist? I just don't get it. So because of this one commercial where the one smart person is portrayed by a male and the quote sexy one is portrayed by a female, then that must mean that they are saying that all men are smart and women can never be smart. If the author of this article ever watched my series, she would realize that there is a shit ton more commercials portraying men like idiots than there are portraying them as smart. And by the way, it seems as though men have to be the nerd type in order to be considered smart. Women are portrayed as just naturally smart. But I guess by today's standards, giving a man a positive attribute is misogyny. The next one on her list is for Toyota Camry. And I'll admit that in this commercial, the woman is being portrayed as the insane ex-girlfriend. And of course, the author of this article thinks that they're saying all women are insane just because they had one woman who was acting like an insane fool. That's right, folks. One commercial like this slips through the cracks, and sure enough, a feminist is there to bitch about it. Do you have any idea how many more commercials there are that portray men like this? Bah, but none of those matter. Just focus on the one commercial where the woman is portrayed as the insane one, and blow it out of proportion and say that they meant to say that about all women. Oh, and get a load of this next one. She talks about the Doritos commercial. It's harmless enough. A little girl wants her dad to play with her, and the play involves her princess game. What's wrong with the dad getting into some dress-up play with his daughter? What's wrong with it? I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like wearing women's clothing and makeup. I can't say I blame him. The real question is, what's wrong with him not wanting to do those things? Not only is the little girl threatening to take daddy away from his game-watching buddies, a threat only diffused by her Doritos bribe. Heaven forbid her dad prioritizes spending time with her. So wait, she just said that the girl's dad doesn't seem to want to prioritize spending time with her. So shouldn't this commercial be offensive to men too? Particularly fathers? I love how she's trying to make him out to be this neglectful guy who should be spending more time with his daughter. But what gets the mother off the hook? I'd say this game of hers is more appropriate for her mother to be participating in. If anything, why not assume that the mother should be prioritizing time with her daughter? You could say that the mother doesn't seem to be around to do this kind of stuff with her, so she has no choice but to ask her dad to do it, and so he does. But her innocent game becomes the butt of the joke. Yeah, her innocent game becomes the butt of the joke, not the men looking like fools in women's clothing while pigging out on Doritos. Oh, and I absolutely love the last sentence. Also, bonus nagging wife carrying groceries thrown in at the end because women are the worst. She's making it sound like the woman at the end of this commercial is being portrayed in a negative way. To her, this portrayal of a mature adult is misogyny and portraying women as naggers. But she sees absolutely nothing negative about men looking like this. The women's clothing and makeup is perfectly normal in her world, and she takes no issue with the crumbs in his beard or that he talks with his mouth full. That's not a negative depiction of men at all, right? I guess she thinks that's just how men really eat. Nothing out of the ordinary. In the next commercial, she's not too pleased with the way that the waitresses were turned into strippers. Apparently, she sees something wrong with being a stripper. Then she goes on to say that most men confuse female friendliness with flirtation. Way to be on the sexist side yourself there. And I love the last sentence. Not to mention that putting these women in revealing and sparkly outfits seems unnecessary. So the revealing and sparkling outfits were unnecessary, but the men in the makeup and women's clothing was completely necessary. I love it. And as a bonus, she shows a commercial that she feels objectifies men. Kudos for finding a way to objectify men and assume that women are just as shallow as the other sex. And kudos to you for creating an article that's about being against sexism but saying sexist things yourself. So according to her, when women are objectified, it's because men are shallow and love to see that kind of stuff. But when men are objectified, then it's insulting to the female audience because it implies that they are just as shallow as the other sex, men. No matter what, she is going to find it insulting to women. So according to her, men are shallow, can't tell the difference between friendly and flirty, are neglectful. And I really have to assume that she thinks that any negative depictions of men in these commercials must be an accurate depiction of how men really are, since she doesn't say anything about them. And she has the nerve to bitch about sexism? So the next time you take issue with a misandric commercial and someone asks you, what's the big deal? It's just a commercial. Why are you so butthurt over it? Be sure to tell them that it's because feminists use their time and energy to bitch about commercials like these. But they say absolutely nothing about commercials like these.
Hey. Aren't you afraid that you're gonna get struck by...
So for the umpteenth time, it's not really about the commercials, it's about the double standards and feminist hypocrisy. It's the feminists who are thin-skinned, hypersensitive, and overreact to commercials. I merely point out what feminists don't, and provide examples of the sexism against men that the feminists, a group which is supposedly about gender equality, just flat out ignore. I expose these feminist groups for the hypocrites that they are.